Hello, I'm Bryan Hansel, and I want to spend a few minutes here today talking to you about thrivability. Thrivability for us is what we think is the true goal for farming operations today. And unfortunately, so many conversations we find ourselves in, we're talking about survival versus actually the ability to thrive. And so we are introducing what we think can be a revolution in farming, which is really about the transformation of your soil through something we call Farm Possible. So at the core of everything that we do is soil health. If we can put the life back in your soil, transform that, we know that is a bridge to transforming your farm and ultimately your community. So what is Farm Possible? Imagine if we could rebuild your soil at its structural level so it actually has the ability to take in water. If we could improve your organic matter, again, giving you more water holding capacity, give you the honest ability and confidence to reduce your inputs by as much as 40%, and still have confidence you're going to have balance in the nutrients that sit inside of your plant, and improve your yields all at the same time. This is a journey we call Farm Possible. At the core of it, though, is your soil, and I always want to remind people, your soil is a living, breathing organism. We don't always treat it like that, but over 40% of the life on this planet lives underneath the soil. For us, it really is about putting that life back to work in your soil. When we're talking about the amount of life, it's pretty shocking, actually. Most fields we walk into are bacteria dominant. So if you think about the living microbial life that should be in your soil, is predominantly bacteria. The missing magic in your soil is fungi. So where we're introducing not only 600 strains of bacteria, but over 300 strains of fungi in a healthy farm field. When we build up that web of fungi, you should have as much as 10 tons of living life of fungi in your soil. Most fields we walk into have as little as 100 pounds. Put your mind around having that much nature working in your field. So one thing that we have to have a real conversation about, and sometimes it's counterintuitive based on everything that we've ever learned or known, but a healthy plant is actually a hungry plant. We've considered over time that, if we just add a little bit more fertilizer, the more we put down, the more impact we can have. And actually, we'll walk through some of the science behind it, but that's just not the case. For us, we need a plant that is motivated, that doesn't sense it has enough food, because in that case, it's actually going to help nature by putting exudates in the soil, feeding the biology that will grow and multiply, go find nutrients and bring it back to the plant. So again, creating this environment where you're putting less fertilizer down than you traditionally have, giving that plant a sense that it has to work for its lunch, it will actually then turn to nature for help to go find that food in the soil. Think about the microbes that I'm referencing. They have three primary jobs. First is eat your fertilizer. And not a lot of people think about that, but in a healthy environment, predominantly the bacteria, as you put an input into the soil, the bacteria outcompete your plant to consume it, which is actually a good thing because now it's inside of a bug, so it can't leach away. That biology is going to move to the root zone of that plant and be where you want it. So it's immobilized and it's where you want it. It's just not plant available. And that's the second stage. The second stage is introducing the predators to that bacteria, which are the larger bugs that will actually release those nutrients as the plant needs it. The plant will build a relationship with this biology, actually sending signals down into the soil saying, hey, I need to give a nutrient. And the fungi and protists and nematodes will actually start to consume the bacteria and release those nutrients. So that's the second major job. And then this time of year, when you're talking about harvest, we really move into the third mode, which is about building your soil. Foundationally, decomposition is biology, bugs eating organic material. So after harvest, when we have all the stover and the bean stubble, and more importantly, the root mass under the ground, sitting there as good organic material, if we introduce the right biology, we're going to build that organic matter through decomposition. So our product is called Bio 800 Plus. It's over 800 species of living biology that should naturally be in your soil that we're putting back. It's the entire microbiome. The best way that I can think about this is the probiotic for your dirt. If you got sick tomorrow and had to go to the doctor because you had a fever on a virus, they would say, take an antibiotic. Over that next 10 days, you're going to knock back the bad guys, but you're also going to kill some of the good guys. And the doctor would say, okay, now that you're done, you need to take a probiotic or eat some yogurt. You got to get your gut health back because you need those good bugs. Same's true for our soil. The reality is that we've had a lot of antibiotics in our career on our farming, all the chemicals, all the tillage. We've never had a good way to put the good guys back, and that's fundamentally what Bio 800 is. So when I talk about this biology, what am I talking about? Okay, there's three key pieces that I want to discuss. First is bacteria. Bacteria, again, it's the smallest, most aggressive, fastest growing bugs. They're the ones that will consume your inputs. As you put them on the ground, they're going to actively consume those. And again, like I said, that's a good thing, and they're going to immobilize them. It's also great if you get that biology, the diversity and the scale right, to where that plant is even feeling more motivated. So again, it doesn't sense it has the food available directly to its roots. What's that going to do? Nature's going to respond, and it's going to more aggressively root. We typically see up to 50% more root mass, and it's because the bacteria are doing their job. These bacteria are tiny, are about the 10th the size of the bigger bugs, but they're nitrogen hogs. So in nitrogen specifically, their body chemistry is 1 nitrogen to 5 carbons, and that's an important piece. If you think about our body chemistry is 30 to 1, theirs is 5 to 1, so they can hold on to a disproportionate amount of nitrogen. So as you move up the food chain, the next is fungi. Fungi have a lot of really interesting roles to play in your soil. One, predominantly, is they are a natural predator of bacteria. So again, as that plant is needing a nutrient that happens to be tied up inside of that bacteria, the fungi will actually start to consume them and release those nutrients. The other dynamic that's going on, though, in addition to that, is fungi are what actually attach to your roots, build a rhizosheath, and start to build a microscopic web out into the soil. Through that web, we can explore 70, 100 times more surface area of the soil and move nutrients back through that web to the plant. So again, nature's helping identify nutrients and bring it proactively back to the plant. And the third major thing that fungi do is build soil structure, right? So if you think about, the best visual I have is a bucket of golf balls, right? If you had a bucket of golf balls, you can't compress that. You cannot compact good soil structure. So that's fungi literally gluing the microaggregates of soil together and building these spheres to where you have this beautiful soil structure that's got natural channels for oxygen and moisture to move through your soil. So again, that soil structure, again, is living and alive. One of the challenges is any type of tillage, whatever depth you go through, if you cut through that web, that fungi at that level is going to die, the glue will die, and it all falls back apart. So again, this is why over time, as we get that soil structure built up with the fungi, we're going to ask you to reduce your tillage. As we get to the top of the food chain, you get protists and nematodes. These are the largest bugs, they're the most aggressive. A protist can eat over 10,000 bacteria a day. Their body chemistry is like ours, 30 to 1. So when they eat bacteria, they've got to excrete about 90% of that nitrogen right back into the root zone. And I would say, with a fair amount of confidence, you have no protists left in your field. A single tillage pass can kill half the protists in a field. So again, most fields we test have none of these left, and we're reintroducing them and giving this very critical function back to your soil. We also introduce 100 beneficial nematodes. Again, if you've ever had pathogen nematodes and felt that nematode pressure, we've got patents on through the science that we've done to prove that our beneficial nematodes can outpower the pathogens and significantly suppress their ability to grow and multiply in your fields. So this is what we're trying to get to. It's a cycle, right? So if you put an input on the ground, we want the bacteria to consume it, but we want to have the predators then available to consume that bacteria and release. So this is nature's food chain that should be in your soil, but unfortunately in most cases, it's just not that productive, not that efficient. And why do we care? So this is a meta-study. So meta-study is individual scientists, over 230 of them, went into the field and did the field work to understand how was nitrogen actually uptake by your crop. One person said, I'm going to take all that work and consolidate it and kind of get to the punchline. And the punchline is that 36 to 42% of the nitrogen that you apply this year goes directly to your plant. The majority of it comes from soil organic nitrogen turnover or bugs eating bugs. So again, in a healthy environment, you have this biology actually delivering up to 60% of the necessary energy to your plant. And again, for most of us, that's not functioning. So by getting that reinstabled, what that allows us to do is just more efficiently get fertilizer to the plant, which ultimately means you just need less because you have less inefficiency and less loss. We then can step up to a really interesting conversation this season given the pricing, right? So if you look at P&K and the amount of cost there is now to try to get that back on your field, we have the solubilizing biology in our soil that those when you put down P&K, it naturally wants to tie itself up to the minerals in your soil. So calcium's a big piece of that, but it can tie up to your minerals, and now it's not plant available. So usually, as a rule of thumb, if you put down 100 pounds, you're going to maybe have 20 pounds that remains plant available, and 80% ties up. So last year alone, you put down 5 years for the fertilizer and only had 1 year available. So what we're going to do with our biology is if you let nature get to work, it will solubilize it, break free from those minerals, and deliver it to your plant. So most of our growers this season are significantly reducing or removing any P and K to their fields this year, knowing that they've literally got hundreds of years available. And last year alone, they probably put 4 to 5 years on that field, and we're going to be able to successfully release it and deliver it to that plant. So when we talk about fertilizer recommendations, we would talk about it in your corn and wheat. It's like, let's look at the amount of nitrogen you've historically put down, and we've got to pull back. So if you've been putting down 0.9 to, let's say, a pound of nitrogen per bushel, we would want you to pull back to 0.8 or 0.7. So again, we need that reduction to create an environment in your soil that motivates that plant. But again, this is an individual conversation, but we'll talk to you. But there's real savings available. And when it comes to P and K, again, there's significant opportunity here to pull back 50% or even 100% of what you've traditionally put down and still have confidence that that plant's going to have all that nutrient that it needs. So this is just the impact. And again, this is a kind of a unique situation. We had a farmer in Southeast Iowa that owned 100 acres and his uncle owned the adjacent 40. It's all on a single field. So his uncle has him farm it. So you think about all the same practices are being applied. Holganix actually is being applied on all 140 acres, but our farmer was going through our regimen. So they were systematically brought down their nutrients, and at this point they're putting down about 160 pounds of nitrogen and no P and K at all. I've been doing that for about 3 seasons. His uncle didn't believe in, quote unquote, taking from the soil, so he was having the local co-op apply full application rate on P and K and adding nitrogen. So again, with that level of fertilizer, he was assuming he was having more available and would potentially drive a better crop. We went ahead this year after 3 seasons of that and did actual soil tests. And what we came up with is, again, the available nitrogen is actually higher. We've got over 4,900 units of nitrogen versus 3,100 in the fully fertilized field. You look at your potassium, it's almost double the amount available in the field that has not had P and K for 3 seasons. Same with your phosphorus. Your sulfurs are better, your pH is actually better, and the big thing is your organic matter difference. We're almost over a full percentage point higher in our organic matter in that field. Under any amount of stress, you've got a field that's going to perform at a very high level, even though we're spending a fraction of the cost on the inputs. So this is just a quick snapshot of actually the results. If you look at the last 4 seasons with this field, on beans, we significantly outperformed in both seasons. In that rotation in corn, we actually had 1 season in 2023 that he slightly outperformed, but from a finance perspective, over this 4-year period, there's no question. There was literally hundreds of dollars per acre saved and net increase in overall yields. In reality, as you pull back and we put nature to work, you're actually going to see the availability of the nutrients grow in your field. So what are our users really experience? Obviously, there's the economic impact, right? If I can drive a healthier soil, I can drive a healthier crop, which will drive yield. We've just talked about reducing fertilizer. You're talking about reducing tillage because I get soil structure. Again, you don't have the need to till, so that reduces. With less tillage, you've got less fuel, I have less labor. Again, this is an obvious, huge, and significant economic impact. There's the agronomic impact, right? You're looking at faster emergence. You're looking at more even emergence. You're looking at just a host of things that are happening in that soil as it relates to having more nutrient availability, better water, less disease pressure. Again, as we're building up that fungal network, we naturally will suppress any soil-based fungal pressure. A healthier plant naturally has a better immune system. So again, there's just so many side benefits to the plant itself. And then core in the soil itself, we're going to reduce erosion. We're obviously going to clean up that breakdown, and we're going to make everything more available by getting those nutrients transferred. We're going to break down that root ball. We're going to build your organic matter, which is going to improve your water holding capacity. So after harvest, we get into the second phase of this. So again, we put our product down at planting. Again, as I've talked about, it's all about that nutrient uptake. And now we're in that point of rebuilding. So after harvest, we apply our product, putting the living biology that is capable of breaking down the stover and the bean stubble on top of the ground. We're actually going to get that breakdown to occur. So why is that important? One, it's cleaning up your field and making it more plantable in the spring. So again, most of our growers are moving to no-till because there's no trash to deal with and it's easy to plant through. But really, it's more important that we're getting the nutrients moved through and we're building that organic matter, which is all happening as we're applying this product in the fall to get that breakdown to occur. I think we've all heard and had a reference point of the value of what sits above our ground. It's literally hundreds of dollars of value sitting above the ground. This is critical. So again, just as a quick reference here on your corn, for every 40 bushel of corn, you've got about a ton of stover. So with 200 bushel corn, if you have 5 tons of stover, there's 17 pounds of N per ton. So you've got over 60 pounds of N sitting above the ground. You've got 34 pounds of K per ton. So that's 150 plus pounds of K sitting above the ground that if we get it broke down, you move those nutrients back into your field. We know there's been a lot of products in the marketplace that are quote unquote fall products for breakdown. What we have experienced though is that most of those are a small group of bacteria. What we are introducing again is the full microbiome. So not only are we putting all the bacteria that can do some of the work, we've got all the fungi and protists, and that external shell of a corn stalk, that's the toughest part of any grass. It's the cellulose and lignin. The only bugs that are capable of actually having the enzymes to break down that complex polymer are the large bugs. So we're introducing those above the soil and getting that breakdown to occur. So the pictures that we have here, and again, this is in a great scenario. We had good moisture and good temperature, but this is 10 days after harvest. So once these bugs get in the ground, you give them a little moisture and a little bit of heat. And again, this is why we want to get our product down as quick after harvest as possible. You're really going to see the impact. So this is just a quick view of a field to give you a visual. So southeast Iowa, about 240 bushel corn. We applied the product right after harvest. 3 weeks later, we ran vertical till over the whole field. So the top picture shows, again, that field without our product being vertical till. The lower field is vertical till with our product, and you can already start to see the soil showing through 3 weeks after harvest. The amount of breakdown that occurs and what you then can do by working that soil a little bit is really impactful. That same field in the spring, this is in March, it looked like it had been completely tilled and it had not been touched. That's just simple vertical till in the fall. The application of our product, spring application, it's a half a gallon, it's a liquid product. You put it in either broadcast spray early with a burn down or a pre. You can put it down on your plant or in furrow. Again, it just needs to get to the soil. That's a half a gallon rate. The fall is the same half gallon rate. We're asking you to go up to at least 15 gallons. So we're getting good coverage on top of all the stover and bean straw. But again, simple application. You can tank mix it with anything except a fungicide. Very easy. We shouldn't be making extra passes to get the product on the ground. So the manufacturing process itself is fermentation. So we brew this product like beer. So again, we have huge vats. We bring it up to population through fermentation. We then pump it into totes, 250 gallon tote, good for 500 acres. We then put it in refrigeration. So again, we hold it at about 37 degrees on our side. That gets everything to stop growing, calm down, and now it's in suspension so it stops eating what's in that tote. Once we get ready to ship it to you, we wrap it. So it's got an insulated wrap and UV protection around it. We ship it to your farm. We do ask you to keep it indoors so it's out of the direct sunlight. We don't want it to heat up too fast. The faster it warms up, the faster it grows and eats, and the shorter the shelf life. But with a fair amount of confidence, you've got up to 2 months to get it on the ground. So again, it is a living product. You can't keep it for next year, but you do have a reasonable amount of time to get it on the ground and get it working. And again, if you pass that date, it all goes anaerobic at once. When it dies, you'll know it. It smells pretty good. So it'll be very obvious if it does die. If that were to ever happen, we will replace it for free. I got a lot of empathy for you guys. There's so much noise in this space right now. There's over 400 to 500 different products that do exist in this space. They never really know what to do with this on this chart, but I just want to appreciate that a lot of people have walked up your driveway and asked, and I would say there's 2 questions you should ask anybody that shows up. One, how many species do you have? And you'll tend to hear them say 6 to 10 bacteria. So again, very limited number of species that tend not to be biodiverse. And second, is it alive? Does it have a shelf life? And usually they'll say no. It can sit on the shelf for a couple of years. So again, our product is 1,000 bugs alive and living. Again, I think the magic is we're truly building your soil, where most of these products are trying to affect one or a specific outcome. We're trying to foundationally rebuild your farm. So Farm Possible. Again, the actual product benefits that you will see on your farm. Again, this is a journey. We're asking you to be on a 3-year journey with us. Year 1, you're going to see benefit. By year 3, I really believe you won't recognize your farm. We're going to transform the amount of living life in your soil. We're going to reduce your ability on inputs by as much as 40%. And again, that's truly something you have confidence, because you know if that fertilizer is getting onto the ground, it's getting to the plant. We're going to show meaningful benefit to yield as we get that healthy plant up and running. We increase your water holding capacity. We take care of your residues. So again, all your farming operations will be transformed as you truly get nature back in your field and working. Beyond that, we are also capturing all the data. So if you choose to take on our whole program, which I'll talk about next, we actually are taking all the data that we're collecting in the field during the growing season. We're running satellite over your field every couple of weeks. All that data and field data that we're taking over the winter is all consolidated into a platform that we're calling Horizons. We're really excited. This platform's rolling out this winter. So for the 26 growing season on your phone, you're gonna have full access to a tremendous amount of data that is happening real time in your field. If you would choose to, because the byproduct of healthy soil, we've created a program that we call Thrive Acres, and we're willing to acquire your environmental assets and create an additional revenue stream for your farm. And a byproduct of that is we're also then committed to giving back to your community. So we're committed to giving back up to $10 an acre to your local community as a part of this program. The requirements to be in the program: A, you've got to use our product spring and fall for 3 seasons. You've got to limit your nitrogen. Again, what we're saying is a maximum of 0.9 pounds on your corn per estimated bushel. Again, but we're going to want to sit with you one-on-one and determine what's that reduction that's going to get you productive response from our plant. Minimal tillage. When we talk about minimal tillage, we're saying don't disrupt the ground deeper than 6 inches. Again, I want to remind you of that fungal web we're building. We don't want to cut too deep into that. So again, we'll work with you on this, but again, we want to disturb that ground as little as possible. And as we think about applying the product in the fall, we don't want to tank mix with any nitrogen stabilizers. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like, but again, it's really about getting our product on the ground, and reducing some fertilizer, reducing some tillage really gets this whole engine going. If you choose to sign up, we've got a sister company we call HGX. They are our partner in this process, and they are actively purchasing your environmental assets. What I'm talking about is the accelerated amount of carbon we're putting in the ground, the increased water holding capacity, the reduction in fertilizer, are all things that corporate America are interested in and value, are willing to pay for. So we actually come in, we'll do all the measuring and auditing, and uniquely to our program, it doesn't require any practice changes. So if you're currently no-till, we want you to remain no-till, right? What we're doing differently is we're physically taking core samples out of your soil and measuring it in the lab. So we do that after this harvest. You grow your 26 growing season, we'll do it again after harvest. And those lab differences is the actual measurements we take. So again, because we're measuring and it's not practice-based, we want you to keep doing the great things you've already been doing and build on top of those. We are actively out in the marketplace building a brand around what we're up to here and getting those carbon buyers online. So we know we're creating demand for this product, which we're excited about, which then translates into creating revenue for you. So again, everybody in this particular market could certainly use an extra revenue stream. And for us, for the 26 growing year, that looks like $70 an acre that HGX is willing to pay for to get you into the program and acquire those assets. And $10 of an acre will be shared back to your community. So again, we feel it's a significant impact. We're packaging these in what we call Thrive Acres. So what is a Thrive Acre? I think at the core of everything we're trying to do is create an industry that really recognizes what farmers are doing. And for us, what we're doing to our soil is something that is valued way beyond carbon. So again, carbon is a critical piece of what we're featuring when we go out and talk to the people in the marketplace, because that is the measurement that they've had in terms of what they wanted to buy. But as we're explaining to them that our farmers are building topsoil, not just carbon. And beyond topsoil, we're changing practices. We're finding ways to reduce tillage. We're reducing fertilizer. We're improving water quality and water holding capacity, reducing irrigation. There's just so many pieces of the puzzle on top of our commitment to giving back to the community that really is differentiating us as we're in these conversations and trying to feature what we're calling a Thrive Acre. If we get these large organizations that have historically just bought carbon credits to now understand and value a Thrive Acre, we know that we can be the first guys in line when it comes to spending this investment. So many of these companies are spending dollars to meet corporate requirements in terms of offsetting CO2 and buying carbon credits. We want them to go a step beyond that and actually buy a Thrive Acre. And as we create that, then we can, for the first time, put farmers in the front of the line when it comes to this spending to make sure that we have that additional revenue stream created for you. HGX, our sister company, is actively buying these environmental assets. For every acre that you are living in the Farm Possible program, applying our product, making the minimal practice changes that we're asking for, we're in a position to come onto that farm, do what is roughly a 15-acre grid sample, do 18-inch cores, remove that, and have lab results on the amount of carbon that is currently in your field. Then after a growing season, measuring it a second time, so we actually know how much successful carbon we put in the ground per season. We're then aggregating all those acres. So for the growing season 2026, we're going to have over 3 million acres. We're aggregating that total amount, and we have organizations that are willing to buy a percentage of that pool, and that enables us to have the confidence to drive that revenue to your farm. The measurements that we're talking about and the things that you get as a part of this program, first of all, as I mentioned, is the physical core samples. So after harvest and before planting, we will visit your farm and actually take the core samples and get those to the lab. During the growing season, our soil specialists will be on your farm actually validating the progress we're making during the season, taking soil tests, using our electronic probe, which is the Crystal Labs probe, to look at your nutritional stack. We have our microbiometer, so we're looking at our microbial life and how our balance of biology is showing up in the soil, and we're introducing our satellites. So every field that is in the program will have the field boundaries, and every 2 weeks we're going to fly low-res satellite over that field and keep an eye on the plant health, looking for disease pressure, looking for nutrient deficiency, and all that'll be available. All this data will be available on Horizons on your phone. The Thrive Acre requirements, if you're interested in engaging, is a minimum of 500 acres or half your farm, whichever number is larger. We have to have access to a telematics-based system. So whether that's John Deere Ops, Climate View, or other, we need to understand two things. One, the boundaries, and have as-applied information. So we have an audit trail showing that you've actually applied Holganix. We need physical access to your field. Again, we're going to show up in the off season. We're going to physically go into your field and take the core samples, and you've got to confirm that you've got the rights, the environmental rights that you can put into the program. So again, we can't be in multiple programs, so you have to assure to us contractually that you have the rights to give us access to those rights to sell and not be in a competitive program. Annually, it's $70. It comes in two payments. The first payment will come in March. That's for $45. The second payment comes in August. That's for $25. We're covering all the costs. So from your perspective, all the testing costs, all the audit work, everything else is something that you do not have any exposure to or out-of-pocket costs. You're purely receiving those two payments. And then after we settle with our end carbon buyers, we'll then come back into your community. And our goal is, through a nonprofit extension of our business, put up to $10 an acre back into your community. So I mentioned briefly, and I just want to highlight this quickly, is Horizons. Horizons, again, is our new software platform. Within that, again, will be that 15-acre grid sample. And not only are we taking 18-inch cores, we're taking our Crystal Labs probe and we're doing a 6, 12, and 18-inch depth. So now we have stratification of your nutrients throughout every one of your fields annually. That'll all be based in Horizons. You have all the satellite data also reside there. And then as our soil specialists come visit your farm, anytime they test in your field, that data will also be present in Horizons. So we're very excited about the amount of field intelligence that we're bringing to the party. And this is all part of the overall program. So again, if you think about the journey that we're asking you to go on, our product is $20 in the spring, $20 in the fall in terms of the application cost. But within that, again, comes all of the testing if you choose to move forward with HGX, and Horizons is all part of that $40 annual investment. And the journey that you're going to take, most fields we walk into, I hate to say it, but they are dirt, right? They tend to be dominant with bacteria. They don't have a tremendous amount of living life in them. Their organic matter's never as much as we'd like it to be. We're losing a lot of nutrients to the environment through leaching. We've got some compaction issues, and we don't have the water holding capacity. 3 years from today, on your farm, you're going to see a completely different soil, right? It's going to be full of life, so there's a true biodiversity. You're going to have billions of living microbes in that soil. We're going to have moved your organic matter by a measurable amount that you'll see in your soil. You'll feel it in the tilt of your soil. We're going to have the ability to, as you put inputs in and mobilize those nutrients, have the bugs to release those as needed, so we have efficiency in that nutrient delivery. We've got disease suppression by having healthy soil and a healthy plant, and we've increased our water holding capacity. This is a journey that I don't think anybody can avoid if they really truly want to believe in productivity of their soil and the ability to hand their next generation higher quality soil than they were given. So what we're asking you to do is join us in building a healthier farm. Please join Farm Possible.